So I'm on tour across the US, leading my workshops. Even on the road, I live pretty healthy, keeping up with my supplements, hotel room workouts, fruits and veggies, and I still indulge once in a while. In one of the cities, just a few blocks from my hotel, was a local donut shop, famous for their donuts. Splurging once in a while won't kill you, right? I swing open their door, practically running up to the glass case. Anthony, the guy behind the counter, who's way cooler than me, kind of like their hipster berry vegan donut, happily answers all of my ridiculous donut questions. I try one of their famous vegan donuts and also really splurge on this awesome one too. The shop is full of people. I find a seat amongst all the locals. I got my coffee, got my donuts, and my water. I take my first bite, and it's good. I mean, really good, like biting into a ring of heaven good. A couple bites in, I feel pressure in my chest. So I drink my water, thinking maybe it's just a little stuck, thinking I can get it down. And then my eyes black out a couple of times, and water starts coming out of my nose, and I realize I can't breathe. I rush back up to the counter and throw my hands up into the universal choking sign. Anthony, who's now definitely way cooler than me, leaps into action and comes to help. My mind is racing. And then I throw up everywhere, and I could breathe. I shakily assure everyone I'm okay and I don't need an ambulance. I have to recount every embarrassing detail for Anthony for the incident report. When he asks me, "What were you thinking?" I was thinking, I don't want you to break my ribs. I don't have time for that. I'm running a workshop tonight. No time to go to the hospital. And I was trying really hard not to pee my pants in front of all of these people. And I will not meet Jesus by way of vegan donut, even if it's the best damn donut I have ever had. What were you thinking? His reply, I was actually kind of excited to use my lifeguarding skills from high school. I'm potentially dying, and I'm worried about work and embarrassing myself. And he's imagining reenacting Baywatch. My near-death by donut story is embarrassing and hysterical. So I shared it on social media, where most of the comments were people laughing with me and saying things like, "Oh my gosh, how scary, I'm so glad you're okay." And then there were a few, "Take smaller bites, choose slower next time." Super quickly, what was an embarrassing and funny story turned into shame for me. Shame lies to me. Shame tells me I'm not enough. Shame says I'm unlovable and no one cares. Take smaller bites, in my head, easily became, "You idiot. Why did you even share that? No one cares." Regardless of the comment, I quickly created my own truth, a made-up story of shame. We all create shame shitstorm stories that we call truth because we're under the illusion that everyone else's reactions are about us. When in reality, even in the face of death by donut, Anthony was in his Baywatch fantasy, and I was worried about work. Both of us were so wrapped up, distracted, and stuck in our own stuff. As a practicing therapist of 18 years, I know this. Freud called it projection. Basically, something you might dislike about someone else probably reminds you of the crap you don't like about yourself. 99% of someone's response to us is about them and their own stuff. When we're interacting, what you get from me is more about me than it is about you. This is freedom. How often do we sabotage ourselves and not truly show up because we fear what people will think and how they'll judge us? The reality is, they aren't even thinking about us. And if they are, it's more of a reflection of them than us. And what happens when we realize this truth? We can have freedom. Freedom to be who we want to be, freedom to be aligned with our values, freedom to show up as ourselves, flaws and all, owning all the parts of our stories. On the unfrosted side of this donut, 99% of our response to someone else, or a situation for that matter, is about our stuff. When we've got a problem, most of the time, it's about us. This is a responsibility. We have a responsibility to ask ourselves, what is this bringing up for me? What's this really about? What's the story I'm making up? So, how do we actually own our 99% to fully show up as ourselves in this world? First, identify your feelings correctly. Many of your feelings are born out of fear or love, and anger is almost always a secondary emotion, usually rooted in hurt, loneliness, fear, or shame. Have the courage to name what it's really about. Second, allow yourself to feel those feelings and cope with them in a healthy and effective way. This means not hurling them onto or blaming others. And finally, choose to show up and stand in your sacred truth. Choose to own your weird and be you. Being mindful of the stories we create and understanding how shame shows up for us allows us to get out of our own way. There's nothing like being almost taken out by a delicious vegan donut to get some clarity and power back from the story of shame. When we embrace the freedom that comes with all of us being wrapped up in our own stuff, and we claim the responsibility to own the stories we make up, we have the power to change. That's the donut effect. Thank you.